today is the 10th of January 2025, and we are fresh into this new year. And I want to say again, Happy New Year. I think we are in position to say Happy New Year for as long as we are still in January up to about 30th. Then we can fully be assured that we have settled in the new year 2025. So today we are back with yet another topical discussion, and today we're going to be analyzing the roadmap to the 2026 general elections, that is in Uganda. Right. So again, I have guests that you've always seen right here on Elkem TV, and we are going to still be in position to dissect this particular topic, but also we want to take the absolute honor to thank you so much for we want to thank you so much for always keeping it live on Elkem TV and always making sure that you follow, you put through these comments, but also you keep on sharing this link and also giving us ideas on how we are in position to improve these particular topical discussions. Now today in studios of Elkem TV, I have the Honorable Isaac Bongomin, who happens to be on the FDC ticket. That is yes, FDC, and he is our LOC 3 of Central Division here in Masindi. Then also we have the Emeritus Mayor, that is Mr. Amanyire Joshua Omwiruntu Amoti, who also happens to be a bishop, is also here with us today on the platform. Now today, as we're going to be analyzing, as we're going to be analyzing the road to 2026, we're going to have this gentleman dissect. But before we get there, we're going to go for a very short commercial break, and when we return, we shall pick it from the introduction. commercial break. My name is Elijah Kelvin Rongi, and this is the platform where expression is guaranteed. So today we're going to be diving into the roadmap or the road to 2026 elections. Of course, this is January 2025, and we are very certain that the preparations for most of these candidates that are gearing up to come in on the different seats in 2026 are on. And of course, today in studios, we have the same. The people that you see on this particular panel, unlike Mr. Amanyire Joshua, who has not yet, who is still at above a bit 50-50, but of course at some point we shall be sure that he will be coming. He will be telling us soon what is his conclusion on these particular things, on this particular point that we think he is coming for this seat or he is not coming. But of course, we are certain that some of the candidates, like the Honorable Bongomin Isaac, he will be coming on this particular seat of the mayor for Masindi municipality, or Masindi municipality. I want to take a chance to let them introduce themselves so that we can get started. Mr. Isaac, you're welcome on the show.
Thank you so much. The moderator of this program, my colleague in the studio, and the viewers, good morning. Isaac Bongomin is my name, and the division chairman, Central Division, Masindi Municipal Council. I wish you good listening and viewing.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Isaac Bongomin. Let me get to Mr. Amanyire Bishop. You're welcome on the show.
Thank you so much, our moderator, our dear viewers, at the same time our listeners. Good morning, and I invite you to this important show, and God bless you and bless you so much. Joshua Manyire Kiza Mahmoud is my name.
All right, thank you so much, Joshua. Now, before you put down the microphone, I would like us to start a little bit with what is happening currently. Now, yesterday we get very bad news of the passing of that is the Honorable Muhammadi Segirinya, who happens to be the member of Parliament for Kawempe North, yes, of Kawempe North, and he is one of the people that managed, in his own words, I don't know what you'll make of that. He managed to complete his 5-year manifesto, 5 years manifesto, in 2 months. Maybe in remembrance, what are some of these things that you would mention about the deceased?
Well, as you have said,
maybe the microphone up.
The late Honorable Segirinya managed to complete his manifesto in 100 days. I think, according to him, but still, as the political saying goes, a lot of continue, things were to continue. He still had a lot to do for his constituents. But he had done enough. And by the time he got bedridden, I think he had put a clinic for his people. And he had bought 2 ambulances. And he seemingly was a freedom fighter, a human rights fighter. And he tried his best. So we have lost a very wonderful man. And we had a lot to learn from him, even us from the NRM. We had a lot to learn from him. You know, our political difference doesn't mean that the other side doesn't have any value. We had something to learn from him.
Now, what are those things that you say you had to learn from him?
One, his empathy. And he was a man who was concerned about the local person, the well-being of his people.
Okay.
Unlike others who go and disappear, Segrin would go back to his constituents. He never made a lot for himself, but at least most of his proceeds, salary proceeds, was enjoyed by his constituents. So, and he's the man whose voice came out for his people. He aired out what he felt was right for his people. You know, although it may not have been the right for the nation, but that was what was right for his people, and that's what he thought was right. He was not somebody who would suppress, a man who would fight for his right of expression.
Okay.
Yeah, so I desire that one from him. Unlike others who go, they will tell you, no, in Parliament we are so many, we don't have enough time to talk. If you don't have enough time to talk, come back.
Where do you go to Parliament?
When you go to Parliament,
How are other people getting the time to talk?
you know, people they are fighting. If they are fighting, they will come back. One time we had here, one of the professors, when he was still Bunyoro, I think South Bunyoro constituency in the 60s. He went to Parliament. He was a professor. That was a late professor at that time.
Okay.
He went to Parliament and he resigned. Shortly after, I think 3 months. Said, I can't stay there. People make a lot of noise. You know, professors don't make noise. People make a lot of noise. I can't make a noise. Yeah. So if some of our colleagues think that they cannot manage Parliament, let them come back. Those who can, we'll go and push on.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In talk of events, this week has been marked with a lot of drama.
Okay.
Sad news.
And then the other events. We are going to get back to that. Let me first of all get to the Honorable Isaac Bongomin to also a bit of a submission on the Honorable Segrinya. Now, the Honorable Segrinya happened to fall out with a few people in his party, and clearly there are some videos that he will show you that he did not want, that is Honorable Mufumbira, to ever appear on his burial. But also with what comes out to be that he was poisoned to an extent that up to date, by the time he died, he was still suffering the impact of the poison. Now, what do you have to say about our situation in the hospitals, but also in the medical and healthy sector of this country when it gets to incidents where we cannot retrieve people that fall victims of certain things like poisoning?
Thank you so much. The late Segrinya, I got to know him as somebody who was a serious caller on radio stations. That was how he started his career. And I remember he was one time KCCA councillor on the FDC party ticket. Then later on, he joined the other race of joining NUP, where he contested as a member of parliament, but also as an activist who really advocated for. You remember when he was carrying these old screens in the streets of Kampala, running up and down with the police? I think the late Segrinya did not enjoy leader representation of his constituency
In Parliament.
in the parliament, because when he was elected, he was incarcerated in the prison. Very many allegations put on him. You remember the cutting of people, pangas in the massacre. Those
and the
allegations were
Honorable
put
Sawanyama.
against them.
Mm.
And he spent much of his time, I think, in prison.
Mm.
Later, he developed health problems.
Mm.
He was released, and he has spent most of his life
On the sick bed.
when he is sickly. Unfortunately, he passed away. But according to what he used to say before he died, people should not wish him rest in peace. He has very many allegations which he had. He had
Should
put.
be a fighter.
Yeah.
Continue fighting.
Yes, those are his wishes. And I think people should follow his wishes. Even if it was me, my burial wishes should be respected. Unfortunately, our country, the Department of Health, still lag behind. That even when somebody has succumbed to a very serious illness, that our hospitals, our health facilities cannot manage. That's why you see there is inequality in this country. With the MPs, they can take them abroad. With the speakers, they can take them abroad. With the ministers, with all these government officials. There's a lot of inequality in this country. Unfortunately, for some of us who cannot be accorded such a privileges, and yet we are Ugandans, very unfortunate, because there are very people who have succumbed to what the late Segrin has undergone. But government has not lifted them outside. So we call upon government to improve on health facility. I remember my late father used to tell me, those days, even when somebody falls sick, you just go to Mulago. The former heads of states would go to Mulago and get treated. But today you have to be airlifted and spend taxpayers' money, which taxpayers' money should have been spent in health, to improve on health, to ensure that whatever somebody wants in the health area can easily get it. So the allegations on how he died, it was very unfortunate. Those are his wishes. I think the reports, the medical reports are very clear. What he succumbed to do, the postmortem report. He has been sick, and you know what he succumbed to, and finally he has gone. But it gives a very big question to Uganda. Where do we fall and where do we lie? Especially as far as health areas are concerned. And also human rights abuses was handled, how his cases were being managed.
Should we say that that was mocking assistance? Because
with the members of parliament, they're entitled. There are those entitlements they are supposed to have. But for me, I'm totally against those entitlements where you find they are selective. It shouldn't be selective. If the entitlement is for Uganda, it should be for Ugandans.
Okay.
That's why for us we're advocating, let the health facility be improved to the standard that even me, a local person down, can go and get those services.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, the Honorable Bongamin. Our viewers that are watching us live on Elkem TV, this is the platform, of course, where expression is guaranteed. Now, I am going to ask for a very short commercial break, a 1-minute commercial break. And when we return, we're going to be, I'll start with you, the Honorable Bongamin. You tell us a little bit of what is making rounds on social media, more especially when the first son makes certain tweets about what he claims he did for Bobby Wine, and the terms of calling him Kabobi, we did this and this for you, you did the other. All right, we shall pick it from there. Twitter inayo eh? Uh, 2.6 okay. 6K. That means it's not 2,600. All right, welcome back from that commercial break. Now, this show is proudly sponsored by Kabalega Resorts, and Kabalega Resorts is saying you can reach out to them for conference services. You can reach out to them for the bar and restaurant services, the swimming pool, and for you that is very passionate about fitness, you can reach out to Kabalega Resort Hoima for the gym, the sauna, the steam, and soon we are going to be starting the Zumba, which is called the Kabalega Zumba, so that you can every morning go to Kabalega Resort Hoima and shake off that stress, shake off that weight and the likes, so that you're in position to be fit. We're also sponsored by ElkemTvUpDates Limited, and they're saying you can reach out to them for all construction and building materials. So for those that are looking up to putting up these storage structures, you can be in position to reach out to ElkemTvUpDates for plumbing, fabrication materials, the farm implements, and the likes. All right, now I'm going to pick it from the Honorable Bongomin. While we went for the break, we wanted to make sense of certain information that we do receive, more especially on the CDF. Yes, the CDF, that is Mohozi Kainerugaba, most of the times when he's making the streets. What do we make of this statement where he says Kabobi knows that the only person protecting him from me is my father? If Mosei was not there, I would cut off his head. Now, in your analysis, what does this point out?
You know, the political trend in this country, the social media handle platforms, Uganda is just adopted. It's not at all in social media things. Unfortunately, some of these Twitter handle, we don't know who owns them and who does them on the behalf of the CDF, because as far as the nature and virtue of his office, that's a very serious office, which any statement which comes from such a very important person, you must first of all evaluate an inch. So it's very unfortunate that sometimes we have not seen him come out to own some of these social media handle messages which go on air, which go on those platforms. It would be better if we would come and own some of these things, because very many people have come out condemning his way of doing things. Remember, even when they were still in the PLOU, how could a CDF go in such activities when he's still a serving army officer? Yes. Even the statements he has been making, remember when Mr. Museveni openly came out and apologized when he said Uganda can invade Kenya,
yes,
within the shortest time possible, and they take over the government. And the president had to, Mr. Museveni had to come in to make such an apology. So it's very unfortunate. I don't know who are the political assistants in that office who handles especially the media issues. It would be very good if they would be employing people who know what to post and what not to post. Because every statement you make as a citizen counts.
Yes, has an impact.
Yes, it counts. You can today do things with impunity because you are in office and you have the authority, but at one time you may not be in authority. And it all goes back to you to account whatever, anything you did. So some of these things, I think, we need to be very careful. Otherwise, some of this may be pushing us to go in debates which are called for.
Yes. And then Bobby Wine, in response, says, the threats by Museveni's son, in brackets, who also heads Uganda's military. To behead me is not something I take lightly, given that many have been killed by him and his father, and considering there are several attempts at my life. I refuse to be intimidated by the cowardly regime. The world is watching.
Yeah, he might have responded to that. This regime is not a cowardly regime. It is a regime which is determined to undertake anything. I want to tell you, it is a regime. Once it has its own interest, it will fulfill it, regardless of what it takes. So we need to be. Bob Wine might have given his opinion. This is not a cowardly regime. This is a regime which came, its background. These are warlords who came from the bush.
Yes, and then
and they are determined to do anything to stay in power.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Moses again replies and says, "Finally, I woke you up. Before I behead you, repay us the money we loaned you." So it was more of a social media battle right here.
Politicians of Uganda of today also, we need to be very cautious with them. You remember the dirty money which entered FDC and disorganized FDC.
Wait, we have clean and dirty money.
That was the dirty money. You know what happened in the party. And now you never can also say what is claiming is true or false. But Mr. Museveni is on record that by certain time he would have almost crushed off all opposition. And he has the capacity because they have all the resources. Whatever it takes, they can do it. And they are determined.
Okay, whatever it takes, they can do it. Doesn't it go back to issues of integrity? The integrity of these people, the party, the people that subscribe to the party, even yourselves.
Yeah.
Because scrapping it alone is not enough, because you need people that you scrap off. So what happens to the integrity of people who are supposed to be loyal to these political parties?
The political trend of this country, some people have joined the political parties because of excitement. They see a party comes up, they join it not knowing. But some of us who are very bit careful, we look at the ideology of the party. And we look at the leadership of the party. Who are these spearheading this? What message they have for the people? Why should I really follow such a... Actually, we should not be following individuals. We follow also the integrity you're talking about. Is key in leadership. Is key in any whatever thing somebody, he or she is doing. So that's why for me, before I decide and take a position, I'm always very careful to take a pronouncement. So some of these things you see which CDF is posting, we don't know whether he owns them or there's somebody who does it on his behalf. And by nature of what he is, he knows what it takes. Such offices, you don't just come out and begin making such a pronouncement. Because such a statement, we learn nothing. And I don't need to learn anything from such a tweet, because they are not constructive. They don't add anything in my head. So we should be picking things which are adding something on somebody's head and for the good of the country.
All right.
If it was like in other civilized and democratic countries, you would see parliament, you would see the wananchi come on and say, you resign. You have seen public statements being made by example in Europe, like in the UK. If you are an MP or a minister, you make any statement which is contrary to the status quo, to the what programs of government are, you're forced to resign. We have seen prime ministers of UK resign, making statements which are uncalled for. We've seen ministers resign. So these things are happening. Unfortunately, that in Africa, people don't respect the rule of law. That's why I say somebody can make a statement and he goes unpunished and it goes like that.
And also maybe paying attention to detail. Yes, most of the people do not pay attention to details. All right, thank you so much, the Honorable. That's where expression is guaranteed. Now, Mr. Amanyere, now we're going to dive into today's topical discussion because on the issues of time, I see that our time is quite fast spent and we need to dissect this. Now, we are gearing up for the 2026 elections. Of course, a lot of people have started to declare that they will be coming for these different positions. Now, particularly here in Masindi, there are quite a lot of candidates that we are seeing gearing up for these particular positions, from mayorship to member of parliament to local council 3, local council 2, and the likes. 5 years, 5 and the likes. And now we need to understand, as we gear up for these electoral preparations, what are the expectations and some of the electoral reforms that we should be in position to consider moving forward as we head for the 2026 elections?
Well,
the mic up.
I can see people gearing up,
Mm.
which is okay. But when you talk about electoral reforms, in the actual sense, probably you'd help me come out with a few electoral reforms that have been implemented. Yes, they were proposed, but because one of the electoral reforms, which I remember I was a participant in one of the hotels in Kampala far back, was the implementation of the voter education.
That is the civic education.
Civic education. Voters do not know what to do. Number two, when you look at our young boys and girls who conduct these elections as a polling assistants and presiding
officers,
they actually have 20% of the knowledge of the electoral reforms and the electoral process. When you come to even the returning officers, up to now, I don't know how many returning officers have got the actual data of the new voter population in their areas after this population census. Because I was inquiring from my colleague here, Isaac, whether he has that data of the number of people.
Of voters.
Not voters, even number of people in his area of jurisdiction.
Yes, because we've just conducted the population census.
He doesn't have it. Now, likewise, the Electoral Commission may not know, probably here in Masindi, the number of voters, the number of the population above 18, the voting population, the voting bracket. They don't know as per the population census that was carried out last year.
All right. No, yes,
yeah,
exactly.
So it becomes very difficult at the village level, at every polling station. We should have had this data down at the every polling station, even at our Electoral Commission office here, to find out how many voters, new voters, do we have in Masindi.
So are you saying that there is a gap between, that is you boss, is it the Uganda Bureau of Statistics,
a very big
and
gap.
the Electoral Commission?
Yes, and also the local government. Because these are the implementers. The local government, these are the implementers. Now, if we don't know the people who are 18 and above, that is voting bracket, now, how would you determine the number of people who are going to vote? I can see parties gearing up for primaries. They don't have this data. We are going to have people of 12 years. We are going to have, but before that one also, we don't even know how many voters. The cleaning of the voter register is not there. It has not been done. How many people have died? How many new people have registered? How many people have shifted? Relocated to different polling stations. All that is not known.
Isn't it supposed to be by national ID that much as you are staying in Masindi,
Yes.
but you are a resident, or your national ID says you are a resident of Entebbe, aren't you supposed to go back and check right there if you're in the voters register?
So some IDs have expired.
Yeah, that is quite true.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying.
Actually, I think my ID,
The readiness.
when you talk about IDs being expired, my ID I think expires in
I
2025.
think I'm lucky among you that mine hasn't yet expired. But all that tells us
I need to check.
that we are not yet ready for the electoral process. Because if our ID is expired, people have relocated. We have had population census. The civic leaders like my brother, Bongomin, has not had any data. In fact, even now, if I ask Bongomin, how many people do you have in the Central Division? He doesn't know. If I would ask my brother Kyomuhend, I think that is worse now. He also doesn't know.
Okay.
If I ask my brother Cosmas, he doesn't know. Now, when you ask the Electoral Commission, they should have had that data down on the ground.
Prior to this.
Yes. The trainings should have enough time. Most of our polling officials do not have enough training.
All right.
Training them only for the occasion is not enough. These people must know the do's and don'ts and the whole process. You train them of only the event for one day. They don't know. That's why when they are called in court to testify, they are very, very innocent.
Okay.
Now,
not
only innocent, but I think probably, yes, let me call them innocent. So we still have a lot. Now, when you ask our voters, apart from knowing that you are given a voter card to go and cast, do they know what happens? If you ask somebody when you are in the line and it clocks 5, what happens? Sometimes some people are chased away.
When staffing of ballots happens.
Yes. No, there are a lot of these irregularities are built on voter education ignorance. Most of them.
All right, now.
What is the involvement of the state machinery, the military, or the forces? What are their what role do they play?
All right, now that is where I want us to go. That is where I would like us to go.
Yes.
Because borrowing it from the recent elections, of course, I want us to speak about the expectations, but also, again, Uganda's preparedness. Looking at borrowing an example of the Uganda Bureaus of Statistics, where they were conducting the population census of Uganda, you realize that most of the people or the personnel that they were using to carry out the task were not trained. Some of them did not have gadgets. Others received gadgets in the process. And others hardly did not have the gadgets, but instead shared. You have to wait for a colleague somewhere. What are our expectations now that you say even the trainings haven't happened, the data hasn't come to the districts?
In fact, even
and the likes. What do we expect? And also, again, when we used to see a lot of military during the elections.
In fact, even the data is disputed, as you said, because some of the gadgets had issues.
Others didn't know how to use them.
Some people were not even counted,
At least I was counted.
Yeah, me, I wasn't. I wasn't at home.
Mm.
I waited for the whole weekend. I saw nobody. But later on, the children told me that
Mm.
people came here and we told them you are still alive.
Hey.
They told them our dad is still alive.
Mm.
So I don't know what they put there. I don't know.
Mm.
But they were told I'm still alive.
Okay.
So what I'm saying, there's still a lot to do.
Mm.
I don't know, because our country, as you said, UBOS itself
Mm.
has not pronounced itself on its errors.
Mm.
Are they correcting those errors? Are
Is
they
it an
living-
issue of resources that we are never prepared? Because we have a lot of time.
No, but when the
Before
director,
this is conducted?
the director UBOS was contacted, he said they are ready before they conducted the exercise. He said they were very much ready.
And then we see
And announcements
realities,
went on. But during the exercise, things went the way they were. Now, my question is, it's not about the resources. Resources are there. You know, this country has enough resources for whatever activity we plan.
Mm.
But the problem is corruption.
Mm.
We have competent people, but because of corruption, we produce shoddy results.
Okay.
Results which are disputed.
Mm.
People are knowledgeable. I'm not saying they are not knowledgeable. They are knowledgeable, but they don't do the right things
Mm.
because of corruption.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Okay.
because they don't know whether they don't have the will
Mm.
for the government. You know, there are people who fight the government indirectly and technically.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, when you're at home, the house girl can fight you technically.
And they will stop giving you food in time.
He will tell you when the visitors are around, big guests, and they say there is no salt. There is no sugar. When the sugar and salt is there, then you suffer the embarrassment. By the time you want to go to buy it, she tells you, I found the soap closed. You know?
Then before you know it, visitors are going without tea.
Yeah, without tea. So these are some of the technical battles.
Mm.
But we have enough resources.
Mm.
The country released enough money for the exercise, but the officers, the other thing comes to what I say.
Mm.
The young ones down here, you know, we have people who are temporarily employed, like those who are conducting the exercise. We are
The
calling,
officers, okay.
yes. Are they officers?
The ones that count, the ones
Yes,
that operate the gadgets and
Yes.
all that.
Those ones were temporarily employed,
Mm.
trained only for a few weeks. If
And
not,
that is actually,
if not days.
if you carried out a sample,
Yeah.
some people will tell you they attended like 1 or 2 days and then others hardly.
To run, to operate things that would need a 4-month course.
Mm.
But they did within 3 days.
Mm.
You get me?
Okay.
And you know, when you're in class, not everybody, you know, and these people are not tested,
Mm.
whether they have passed, whether they have understood.
Mm.
As long as all of you who are selected have attended the 3 days, you all qualify to go and work. Whether you
Right.
have understood or not, nobody is there to evaluate or to assess. So people go in the field when they are incompetent.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac, Mr. Amanyira Joshua. Let me get a little bit to Honorable Bongamin. Mm.
The readiness of our country.
Mm.
There are things that have gone on the scene and they diverted the attention of our concentration.
Mm.
No, the nation, there are a lot of things that have, when you look at our political parties now, now we have been talking about the electoral process, but are the political agents, the political parties also ready? Given that there is a lot of divergent activities or
we
happenings.
seem to be very busy with other things.
Yes, now opposition is very busy now in the courts of law, in court martials, splitting and trying to register and deregister. You get me? So our readiness as the country is in a question mark.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Mr. Manyere, I'll get back to you. Let me get a little bit to the Honorable Bongamin Isaac. Now, from what Mr. Manyere Joshua has been speaking about, and the bigger question, as a country, are we ready to kick off the electoral process for 2026? But also, what is your opinion, or what are the key issues that are likely to influence the voter behavior in 2026?
As a Ugandan
Mm.
who is supposed to be exercising my constitutional right
Of voting.
after every 5 years,
Mm.
it is an obligation of government to ensure through its institutions
Mm.
like the Electoral Commission to organize a free and fair and transparent election.
Mm.
And that should be within the confines of the law.
Okay.
Our constitution of 1995 is making 30 years this year,
Mm.
and we must follow what does the law say.
Mm.
And if we are Ugandans ready anyway, because chapter 1 of the constitution clearly talks about Ugandans will determine and decide how they should be governed.
Mm.
But the very unfortunate part, Ugandans are not involved in determining whether and how they should be governed.
Mm.
And that's why very many Ugandans have lost interest. Some have decided not to participate even in general election.
And they like
Neither do they even want to know what is taking place. They have left it for others to determine and decide for them.
Mukome muratugambi.
Yeah, basically because of the inequality and unfair leveled ground
Mm.
of the political trend in this country.
Okay.
And when you look at the Ugandan constitution has always been tampered with the interest of individuals,
Mm.
not with the interest of the wananchi.
Mm.
That's why you see the reforms we are talking about shouldn't be reforms in the interest of an individual. The reforms should be in the interest of the Ugandans, where we are supposed even to be holding a referendum to decide certain things and how this country should be moving.
Mm.
Because these reforms we are talking about, which are coming out by the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs on the behalf of government over Mau, over Mpuga, some of these decisions should first go to the community.
Mm.
That these reforms, do Ugandans know the reforms which are being proposed by government?
And do they work for them?
Or being proposed by the
Ministers.
the opposition leaders?
Mm.
The Ugandans know this. If I can ask anyway, very many Ugandans don't know these reforms. And if you are to go at random seeking opinions of the wananchi, nobody will tell you, very few will tell you the reforms. So the reforms should be there with the interest that if the proposed reforms are this, then it is the role of government to ensure that every Ugandans knows
the information.
these reforms.
Yes, the
And the
sensitization
wananchi
bit.
should have an input. That should be with the institutions which are responsible for this dissemination of this information. Because the Electoral Commission has a very big role in ensuring that people know when should people go to vote, when should people go to register, when should people go and do the following. So it's the role of government to put an environment which is enabling for every Ugandan to have his input. Because this country is not for an individual, but for Uganda's sake, there is a system which has been built in the minds of the people that if it is not NRM or if it is not Mr. Museveni, this country can't move. And these reforms you see, when you look at this story, they have been done in the interest of one person.
Yeah, but you see, what worries the Ugandans a lot, they feel they do not have a dangerous substitute.
No, we do not need to look at it as a substitute.
A competent.
No. Every Ugandan is competent. The law does not provide for somebody who is an adult can lead this country. For as long as you're not a person of unsound mind, oba criminal record, all. But for as long as you are a Ugandan who is 18 years and above, you are eligible to lead this country.
Okay.
So there should be no monopoly of leadership in this country. Unfortunately, that people have been suffocated.
But you see, when it gets to
you can see the political space. It's not good. That's why every time Ugandan has been seen as civic space is shrinking.
All right. Now, when you speak of competence,
Yes.
You see most of the times people want to attach certain things. For example, they will show you their security is at stake if they do not displace someone that is in power. They will show you that their economy is also at stake. They'll give you quite a number of reasons. And you see, as a position, you are an FDC party member. Also, the quality of, let me not speak about quality of leaders, but also the kind of organization, how you organize yourselves in the political parties. We see that now currently the FDC, you'll have the Katonga, you'll have this one. People feel a bit confused.
Let me tell you one thing. Ugandans are ready to determine their future. But because of the system which is there, does not allow them to determine how they should be governed. That's why you see political positions have been oppressed. People have been arrested. People have been abducted. Public rallies have been interfered with the police. Police have been used by this government to disorganize opposition. The military, all these reforms you are listening, you are hearing Akama, even they are saying that there should be litigation, there should be limiting of military presence in electoral processes. We have always been seeing during election time, you see military hardware in streets, military hardware at polling stations, as if it is a war zone. It creates an expression which creates fear among the Wananchi.
Maybe the Wananchi that we are speaking of, or the Wananchi in question are so aggressive that they will somehow they are not in position to organize themselves in an orderly manner.
They are ready to organize themselves, but only that the fear which has been put in the people, that if you go out and demand your rights, which is constitutional, by the way, freedom of assembly, of expression, and moving, they will crack you down. We've seen people dying during that process.
Okay.
Now, these things, they are talking about reforms like compulsory electronic voting, which is also coming up. We are hearing it. Also, the banning of the certain fundraising activities during campaign. Okay. We're also seeing the public servants being restricted to participate in these elections. Active one, So all this, what does it mean? Now, it is going to be very hard. Let me give an example where public servants are not supposed to be active. I'll give you an example. Office of the RDC, the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda gives the president powers to introduce a public office. Now, like the office of the RDC, these are public servants.
Okay.
But when you listen to what they say, these are almost politicians.
Yeah, that's right.
They come for the sitting president.
Actually.
Yes. Now you look at such an office, a representative of a president in a district, who by law is said to be a public servant, but his pronouncement, his statement, I'm for Mr. Museveni, I'm for this, I'm for this, which is contrary. And these things are done with impunity. That's why I say time will come. You know everything at its time. This man is a preacher. That everything has its time. These people will have to account for every statement they make.
Okay.
And that's why Ugandans don't even turn up for voter activities. You have seen Ugandans where we are around 18 million voters, but you only find around 9 or 10 million people have voted. Where are the others? 6 have turned up for elections. But others have not. Why? Simply because people have lost hope. Even their will, if it is spoken through voting, is not what?
Respected.
It's not respected. That's why You even see our courts of Uganda could even reach the extent of making verdicts that they were rigging of elections. You remember this justice, this lady, who was going to make his verdict, and her documents were taken. She was pushed out. You remember that lady of the recent elections petition. So all this, what does it mean? That there is no separation of powers in this country. The executive has deliberately influenced the legislature, that's parliament, has influenced even the judiciary. That's why you see, you can't get justice. If really the UPDF is to protect and promote the constitution of this country and protect it, and the Constitutional Court came out clearly, they're not supposed to be listening to civilians, taking civilians in such a court. And this people are going ahead. Okay. Is this really a country which is democratic? Is this a country of rule of law?
Okay.
So these are some of the areas where you see, even when they are going to bring these reforms, Ugandans lost hope long time ago. You can even follow, you gave us a tweet of the CDF. And this man one time tweeted and said on Twitter handle, no civilian can ever take over this country. You see such pronouncements.
And the influence, the
yes.
followers.
Now, those are all intimidatory statements to intimidate Ugandans that for you to be a head of state, you must have military background, which is very wrong. Initially, Mr. Bote, the late Bote was not a military man. The other professors, be nice as were not. Much as our background showed that we had the political turmoils were many. But this one does not mean that if you are to be a citizen, to be a head of state of this country, you should have military background. We have seen very many people who have come from military background have failed. So it is one way or the other. For me, I don't see the relevance of these reforms. The only thing is that Ugandans getting up very early in the morning and get registered to be voters. They turn up in big numbers and determine the fate of Mr. Museveni.
All right, thank you so much.
That's the only thing.
Okay.
So finally, as I look at these reforms which are coming up, yes, they may be to some extent relevant, but implementation.
Implementation, isn't it too late?
As in, these reforms are not going to work for this general election. They may work for 2032.
And that is if also they are brought up earlier.
In any case, by the way, these reforms should have been, there should have been an iPod which is there, which brings up all political parties.
Okay.
And these reforms should be unanimously agreed by the iPod, and then taken down to the Wananchi to give the opinion on that. Then they come out with the resolved reforms by the Ugandans. Then it can be tabled in parliament. But without that, that's why you see, even when iPod is seated, some political parties don't go and attend. Because they see it is a platform where people go and take photos, they take tea.
They were there and then
they take and they say we were there.
The contribution.
So that's why you see political parties have deliberately refused to be attending these iPod meetings, simply because they look at them, they don't have any relevance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, the Honorable Isaac Bongomin, for that thoughtful submission. Now, viewers that are watching us live on ElkemTV, thank you so much for keeping it live on ElkemTV. Now, we are going to go for a commercial break, and on return, I'll pick it from, that is the Emeritus Mayor, the man that has been here for quite some time, seeing the political landscape of Uganda evolve. And now we shall look at a bit of what we hope to see, and then we shall wrap it up in this particular show. The platform returns. Welcome back from that commercial break. This is the platform where expression is guaranteed. And now we're going to be getting to our last segment of this particular episode of the platform. Now, we ended it when the Honorable Isaac Bongomin was speaking of the expectations, but also he is quite about the electoral about the electoral reforms that are being put up, but also very skeptical on whether these reforms are actually going to be implemented, with the way we tend to take things quite slow as a country. Now, as we get to wind up a little bit, what are these key things that we expect again to see? What are these things that will never change about the elections in Uganda, much as we want them to change?
Well, let me first go a bit. Apparently, no political party in this country has a specified clear ideology, including my own party, the NRM.
You have a 10 points program.
There's no political party with specified clear ideology.
And then for this particular term, you were securing our future.
Yes, so when you look at how things are run, that's why you see there's a lot of divisionalism, a lot of messes, a lot of things being conducted the way they are. At least we have a constitution, but still, there's still a long way to go. So,
but
political ideology.